Hi, I'm Riley.
And I'm Ryder. And this is my dad's show.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox with the Quarterback Dadcast. I want to say thanks to all of our listeners, thanks to all of our sponsors for all your support. We are continuing to enjoy this journey together, inspiring dads, but I want to take a minute now to talk about Acme Homes. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to talk about them again. Bob Cumming, former college teammate, amazing leader, amazing home builder. They continue to take so much pride in the work they do, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. Whether you're looking for a home up in Monroe, up in Sultan, up in Wenatchee, this is where they're doing their amazing things. So many people during the pandemic, as we have the ability to work from home, have decided to move out of the city to try to find homes where there's more acreage. Well, that's exactly what Bob and team at Acme Homes give you. So check out Valley Vista up in Monroe. Check out Daisy Meadows out in Sultan. And if you want to even go to Eastern Washington, check out Sienna Heights in Wenatchee. They're, again, amazing craftsmanship, amazing floor plans. You can visit them at acmehomeswa.com. And if you're interested in learning specifically about listings or mortgage opportunities, contact Jen at 425-308-8082 or Denise at 425-309-2318. So now, why are we doing a new ad? Because we want to talk about a partnership they have with Portage Bank. Kevin Jensen is one of the great lenders over there. He's the senior vice president. He's going to take care of you. And right now, if you obtain a mortgage through Portage Bank, Bob and team at Acme Homes are going to pay your $500 appraisal fee. I said that right. They're going to pay your $500 appraisal fee by buying a home through them, getting your mortgage through the folks at Portage Bank. So don't wait. Now's the time to contact Jen, contact Denise. Again, Jen's number is 425-308-8082. And again, Denise is at 425-309-2318.
So visit acmehomeswa.com right now to go visit and learn about your next new home.
Well, hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox again with the Quarterback Dadcast. We're in season 3, and if you are continue to listen, you know that we're going to start out with some love for my pops, Big Mike Jacox, who passed away on December 29th in season 2, and we're dedicating every episode to him in season 3. And so with that, our next guest, he's an Alpha Kappa Lambda. I believe he's on the board of directors of Big Brothers. He's a staffing executive. He's a staffing industry analyst, SIA 40 under 40. He is the SVP, Senior Vice President of Joined Up, which is a Beeline company. And I met this gentleman through Craig Coe, Jessica, and Douglas Leby, where I had the joy of speaking to my friends at Beeline earlier in, I believe, February. And I met this gentleman, and we had a few soda pops on an outdoor patio and hit it off. And he spoke up, and I said, "You're going to be a great guest on the Quarterback Dadcast." And his name is Rodrigo Alcaine. So without further ado, Rodrigo, welcome to the Quarterback Dadcast.
Awesome. Casey, glad to be here. Really, really appreciate it. Been listening to you for a while now, and super humbled to be on the podcast with you today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Well, as you know, we always start every episode with, what are you most grateful for as a father today?
Oh man, such a tough one, because it's my favorite job in the world, and I'm always super proud of my kids. So I've got 3 kids. My oldest, my son Camden's 10, and I've got a daughter. Her name's Mila. She's 8, and a 3-year-old daughter, Aria. And they're just good kids. I'm super, super blessed, and I'm a little biased, but I'll say, there was this recent experience we had. We were in spring break. We're in Orlando, and my son held the elevator open for folks coming in. I didn't ask him to. He just did it, held it open. Their family came in, and he turns and looks at him and says, "What floor?" And they were just like in shock that a 10-year-old, and he's a little smaller for his age too, so he probably actually looks like he's 7, so he probably got some extra credit. But the fact that he did that, and then earlier in the pool that day, was just a random kid swimming by himself. And my son is, he's not super outgoing, but he noticed that he wasn't playing with anybody. He just went over to him and said, "Hey, you want to come play with us?" And it's just like those little moments, man, that just I was super, super proud of. So it was pretty cool to watch.
Dude, that is money. That is like proud mom and dad. You know the hard work you're doing. That's the proof it's paying off right there.
Yeah, it was really good.
Wow. Well, I'm grateful. We're in April. This episode will come out in a few months, and I'm grateful for the weekend ahead. My daughter and I are traveling to Virginia to play. Actually, I'm not going to play. It'd be bad if I played because it'd be horrendous. But my daughter has probably one of her first bigger basketball tournaments in this AAU world where I'm living in, and it's like I was joking with her. I said, "Riley, this is a business trip, girl. This is not a basketball trip. It's a business trip. We got to take care
That's
of
right.
it." And so she's like so excited, and so it'd be good dad, and daughter time traveling. So I'm grateful for that opportunity this weekend.
It's awesome. It's just you two going?
Yep, just us two. Well, she got her middle school basketball coach, and then her teammate will be on the same flight with us, and then there'll be 9 girls traveling. So I'll get to know the dads a little bit more when we're back there. And it's called the Boo Williams Invitational. So there's my brother-in-law went to this year's, and this is one of those tournaments where there's a lot of big coaches will be there. And so it'll be kind of neat to be able to just kind of watch from a distance, like, oh my God, that's freaking Gino from UConn. And
that's right. Yeah, it's that's my backyard where I grew up. So, that program is, very well known. It's exciting. I think it's just cool too that you get the one-on-one time. It's, to have that time with your kids is great.
100%. I play a lot of golf with my son, which is 4 hours on a golf course. This is going to be some serious dad time with my daughter, so we'll be able to have a lot of fun. Okay, so you talked about the huddle that you lead as the quarterback, but talk a little bit about each member. Talk about your wife and what everybody's up to right now.
Yeah. So great. So 3 kids, as I mentioned: Camden, Mila, and Aria. And then we have a dog named Coco, who she's just a little over a year old, a rescue that we got, kind of COVID puppy. Seemed like a great idea at the time, and realized how much work it is, but she's awesome, and she's a loved member of the family. And then my wife, Allison, her and I have been married for this October will be 14 years. And we actually met in 6th grade. So in Virginia. So we went to middle school together, high school together. And then we didn't start dating until sophomore year of college. She went to Virginia Tech, and I went to VCU in Richmond. So always long distance, but yeah, so that is my immediate huddle. My oldest son has recently got into roller hockey, which has been pretty cool to see. He's played baseball a lot and flag football, indoor flag football, and in that same arena they have roller hockey. And he looked over there, and one of his friends was playing. He was like, "Hey, I want to play that." I'm like, "Dude, can you even skate? Like, I don't even know if you can skate." And he was like, "I don't care. I want to try it. I want to play." So he's doing that right now, which is great. Which is actually probably another proud parent moment, if I can share a little quick story. So they have different levels. The first one is it's more of a skill session, right? They teach you all the basics around hockey. They teach you how to, skating backwards, all the things. And then they have the next level up. And his friend was like, "Hey, you don't need to do the entry level one. I think you can go straight into the next level up." And I was like, "Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you got to understand that you're going to be the rookie, right?" He was like, "Yeah, it's fine." So we get the email that they don't even practice first. The first event is a game on a Thursday. And I didn't really realize that, we're busy, hustle, bustle every single day. I think I was traveling the week before. And I'm literally driving to the arena, and I look and I was like, "Hey, bud, this is a game, right? Like, it's not even a practice. You don't even get to." And he was like, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, do you want me to tell your coach that you've never played before? Like, do you just want to sit out and watch? He was like, "Dad, don't say anything. I'll figure it out." And I was sitting there listening, and I was like, man, where do you lose that as a child because like me as an adult, there's no way in heck I would do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably, "Hey, no, I'm cool. Play cautious. I'll watch." And he was like, "No, I got it. I'll learn it. I'll jump in." And now he absolutely loves it. He got slammed up against the wall a few times, but it's great. And it was a huge lesson for me. I think that I was going to be his biggest obstacle in that situation, which I thought was pretty cool. So, thought I'd share. But
Love that.
yeah, so he's doing hockey, and then my daughter Mila, she's in gymnastics. She absolutely loves it. She does it all day long. I think if she can do cartwheels instead of walk, she would do that. And she just got asked to try out for their kind of elite team, so she's super stoked about that. And then my 3-year-old Aria, she is doing like little gymnastics here and there, and she loves it too. But she's more into watching Encanto and Frozen than anything else right now. And my wife, she was in the event space for a while. She was a wedding planner for years. And then she decided to stay home for a while with the kids, and predominantly that's what she does today. But she's also a certified personal trainer, and she does some training for Burn Boot Camp. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that or not, but she does some group trainings, and she does that a couple nights a week. And she's a beast and absolutely loves it. So
Wow,
that's what we're all up to right now.
love it.
Yeah.
Small world. So you rarely do I find a couple who's been married longer, who have known their spouse longer than me, and you just beat me, brother. So my wife and I met.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I met in 7th grade.
Oh, nice.
So, and we
really close.
We dated since like 8th, and when we both went to separate colleges as well, which was super hard, but it allowed us to both to grow up. A little rocky freshman year, but we got through it. And but yeah, that's cool that you've been together that long. We're going on 23 years.
Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Really cool.
So, well, cool. Well, I want to understand. So, actually, before I dive into another question, what nationality is Alcaine?
So my family is from El Salvador. Okay. Yep. So they're from El Salvador. My mom is born and raised there. My dad was actually born in San Francisco, but raised in El Salvador. And that's where they met. And then my father joined the U.S. Air Force as soon as he turned 18. So him and my mom moved away from El Salvador and was in the service. So ironically, I was born in Germany. First language is Spanish. And I couldn't speak English until about kindergarten or so. So I was pretty confused as a little kid. But yeah, so I've spent most of my adult life, or my life here in the U.S. So
do you still speak Spanish?
I do. Yep.
Fluent?
Yep. Yes, fluent. Yeah.
Wow.
My grandmother in El Salvador will probably tell you otherwise, but I still believe I'm fluent. They call me some choice words in Spanish, but in fact, my mom's actually in El Salvador right now visiting family. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Cool. My son's taking Spanish. I don't know how good he is at it, but he's that's his high school language.
That's good.
What did your dad do in the Air Force?
He started as a airplane mechanic, and then he cross-trained to be an air traffic controller. So he retired as a air traffic controller. Actually, my stepdad he's also retired Air Force, and my brother was in the Army. So I was the only one that didn't go in service. But yeah, retired air traffic controller, which was really cool growing up because we got to go into the tower and see all the planes and all the fighter jets. And we lived in Panama for some time, and we used to, when we traveled from Panama to El Salvador, we would take what they call the hot planes, so the big C-130s or C-5s, which are the massive cargo planes. We would fly into those into El Salvador for, I don't know, I think at the time they charged us like $50.
Wow.
We didn't have a whole lot growing up, so that was the easiest way to get over there. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have like an airplane nerd. Like I don't know why I've never decided to fly it. Maybe just time but like sometimes I do. I'm a nervous flyer with turbulence. I hate it, but like I love everything about airplanes. I'm the whole air traffic control. I'm always intrigued by like how they have to, navigate around weather and the talk, and just such a cool,
yeah, super stressful too. And then my dad's whole side of his dad was a pilot. His cousins were all pilots, so he's the only one that wasn't a pilot. Everyone else, he went air traffic control, still in the same industry. But yeah, my dad's dad had a flight school, and he flew for El Salvador's major airline at the time was called TACA, and it was cool because a lot of times when we would fly, he'd be flying the planes that we were in. So
Oh, neat.
it was fun. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, we skipped ahead a little bit, but let's. I want to circle back and say I'd like to understand, what was life like for you growing up, and talk a little bit about how, if you have brothers or sisters, but how your parents shaped you and lessons you learned now that you're a dad.
Yeah. Great question. I think I reflect back on this a lot because I think as a father, I often think about what are my kids going to say if someone were to ask them this exact same question? And I do think about it a lot. And I think that's how what I tend to um, attempt to model my behavior on, because I think we all know when kids are this age, more is caught than taught. So it's not so much about what I'm saying or what it's more about what I'm doing, how I'm acting, and who they perceive me to be. So I think about this a lot. My parents, I grew up in a very loving home. I mean, there's a ton of abundance of love. I mean, my dad was always super involved with. I have an older brother. My brother's 2 years older than me. With my brother and I in sports, mostly through sports, soccer primarily. And then my mom she was kind of the rock of the house, right? Always been the rock of the house. And, what I admire my mom a lot too, because when she came to the US, she didn't speak any English. And she's been kind of tongue in cheek. We laugh now because she's been here for so long and she still has a really thick accent. I'm like, Mom, I would have thought that at some point it would just kind of go away. And then she starts to say some words to me in Spanish. So, but she didn't speak any English coming over, and just through the community and immersing herself everywhere we've lived is how she started. She didn't go to school for it or anything. It's just how she kind of picked it up and started working. And we lived all over. I mean, it wasn't just in the US, but like I said, we lived in Germany. We lived in a few other places, but we moved around almost every 2 years growing up because of the military. And then when I was 11, my parents divorced. We were living in Arizona at the time. And my parents divorced. My mom decided to, at the time, her support system was all in El Salvador. So she moved back to El Salvador. And my dad, brother, and I drove from Arizona. And he got stationed in Virginia. So that's how we ended up in Virginia in sixth grade. And truthfully, Casey, it's weird because as much as I reflect back, that's the time where things get super blurry for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's locked in somewhere, maybe intentionally. But from sixth grade until probably high school, middle of high school, things get a little blurry for me. My brother ended up dropping out of school, was pretty rebellious. So I quickly had to kind of step in as the older sibling. He ended up, my dad ended up, let me rewind back for a second. So my mom went to El Salvador. My dad and us stayed in Virginia. My dad then got stationed in Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, South America. So my mom came back, ended up taking care of us while my dad was on assignment in Colombia for a year. And then my dad remarried, my mom remarried. We ended up moving back to Germany. So between sixth and seventh grade, I went to 4 different schools.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And I think that's kind of when everything starts to get pretty blurry. My brother ended up moving to Spain with my dad for a little while. So it was pretty disjointed. And at that point, I just kind of put my head down and was big into sports. Still a ton of support from my mom and dad, but again, it was kind of a blur. And then, so I ended up living with my mom and stepdad at that point, back in Virginia. So we stayed there, and, good, they, working family. My mom, was working some part-time jobs. My stepdad was in the Air Force. So he kind of clocked in, clocked out, and rinse and repeat, every single day. So again, a lot of support from them in terms of, again, loving family, but we just kind of went through life. And I think a lot of when I reflect back at some of my guiding principles and how I steer my family today, I learned through work and mentors in my life, as a result of those things. So it was really interesting. interesting
Wow.
time. Yeah.
What? So you moved. When did you stop moving?
Oh gosh, I stopped moving in seventh grade. So we moved to Germany for, again, second time. We moved back to Germany in sixth grade, went to two different schools there, and then we moved back in seventh grade, and then we stayed put from seventh grade on. So from seventh grade until graduated high school, I didn't move again. My
So
brother did, I didn't.
how was the long distance sixth grade relationship with you in Germany?
It was, it depends who you ask. I thought it was fine. She didn't. She wasn't a fan. So no, we were good friends at that point. Again, my wife Alice, she claims that we dated in eighth grade for a little while, but we were mostly just friends through middle school and high school. So
Nice.
yeah.
How hard was the divorce for you and your brother?
It was tough because it hit us out of nowhere. I mean, if and maybe for better or for worse, my parents did a good job hiding whatever must have been going on in the background. And I'll be 40 this year, and I don't think with a high degree of confidence, Casey, I can tell you why they actually got divorced. They don't really talk about it. At some point, I stopped asking questions about it, and I have some very vivid memories that towards the end, I remember the chaplain coming in from the Air Force Base to come speak to us as a family about what's going to happen. And it was a huge shock. And I remember my brother and I going into a closet and staying, in there as we kind of heard them fighting, and especially around custody and, what to do. And, but the biggest thing was just, we felt that it just came out of nowhere. Like one day we're fine, good family, everyone's, laughing, playing, having a good time. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, we're getting divorced and they were married for 14 years too. So.
Wow. Do you think that's what helped? It led to your brother's rebellion, going through that challenge?
Yeah, for sure. I think my brother was going through, looking back, it's just the uncertainty, the lack of consistency that we had, and from a family unit at that point on, and the different moves. I mean, he was lashing out. My brother is incredibly smart, like super smart, both IQ and EQ. But he got lazy. And he was, was rebelling, and he dropped out of school. He went to a military type camp where he escaped somehow in the middle of a hurricane. And it took him a while, right, to kind of get back on the funny story. He was the first contract I've ever placed in staffing, by the way.
Really?
My brother was my first temp, and he may have been one of the first people I had to fire too.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But yeah, I 100% attributed to the moves, and then, what we were going from a family perspective. So
yeah. How did you get along? Is your dad and stepdad, are they still with us?
Yeah. Still with us. My dad now lives, so he spent, fast forward a little while, he ended up moving to Colombia. He and his wife, and he was working for the U.S. government there. And he spent, I think, 8 or 9 years there. And then he moved back to the States. He's now in Tucson. And then my mom and stepdad are still in Virginia.
Cool. I have a stepdad too. My parents got divorced after, might have been 30 years, 20 something years. We got divorced when I was a freshman in college. And when you get a stepdad, it can be it's kind of weird for some.
Yeah.
And and we first had him for us, but he's a great guy and great family. And, I think as you get older, you want your parents happy. Fortunately, my dad, which I talked about in a lot of previous episodes, he just couldn't ever get past a lot of demons he had. And he had a rap sheet of health issues. Never got remarried, but my mom did, and she's still remarried to him today. He's a great dude. So shout out to Big Al if you're listening.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's tough because, when my mom remarried, my stepdad is 10 years her junior. So at the time, he was probably, I don't know, early 30s, and he walked into a family with 2 teenagers, one, both of us not in the best state. That's a tough job. And he stepped up, and it was a complete opposite. It was it was consistency, it was rigor, it was you know he also had a great family as well that kind of took us all in as well. And then on the flip side with my dad, he married someone who they're incredibly happy. They travel all the time, and she's exactly what my dad needed at the time. She's been great to us as well, so we're lucky on that front. But gosh, that came with a lot of challenges in the beginning. Right?
Sure.
You're not my mom. You're not my dad. The whole deal.
Right.
It's interesting. So it's a tough job, though.
I think this will speak to. I've done episodes of people before who've come from either a single parent. And it's amazing to see. Like a lot of those people I've talked to have become ridiculously successful.
Yeah,
kind of it's like the grit early in the year, and it's like the things they learned what they did not like. They now apply those as dads.
Yeah.
So as you think back to like lessons you learned from both dads per se that you now apply as quarterback your home, what are 2 or 3 things that come to mind? Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox. I want to take a quick break to talk about my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods who continue to be just an amazing loyal sponsor. And for those of you who've tried it, thank you. For those of you who haven't, you're missing out. And now's the time to make sure that you visit catchsitkaseafoods.com and get some of those amazing smoked salmon. Get some of that amazing rockfish, blackfish, black cod, salmon, whatever it might be, whatever you like. But what's great about opportunities they have, now's the time to subscribe to a box so that you're going to get that reliable cadence of the best fish directly from the dock to the doorstep. And what's great about Catch Sitka Seafoods, they make it so easy. So those that maybe aren't the best chefs at home, doesn't matter. They're going to give you this beautiful, nice laminated recipe card that tells you exactly how long to cook it, whether you're going to barbecue, you're going to bake, you're going to fry, whatever the way you want to do it, they're going to make it easy. So please visit them today, catchsitkaseafoods.com. Sign up for a subscription so that you're going to get the best fish delivered directly to your door. You won't regret it. And just like my daughter Riley says, Dad, I don't even like fish. And she does now because of my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods. So with that, let's get right back to today's episode.
Consistency is a big one. Again, they and you know this, the kids watch everything you do. And it starts as they get older, it starts to play out, right? They'll start repeating things that you say. They'll start adopting some of the mannerisms. So I think consistency's been really important for me in terms of how I show up with my kids and what's important to my wife and I. Both my wife and I are very passionate about what we do. And I go back and I think about my folks have always been, the work that they did was just because that was their way to put food on the table. Right. And I think I would have loved to have seen them to be overly passionate about something. And I think our kids get to see that today, both my wife with fitness and we helped launch a church about 18 months ago. So we're super active and involved with the church here locally. So our kids see that. They see that we serve, every other week. I go every other Sunday or once a month. I go at 6 a.m. to help set up the church. And they see that. And just finished training for a marathon. They saw the rigor and consistency around those things. And I think that's something super important that they get to witness every single day about hard work and consistency. And then the other one is it's just humility and being good people at the root of everything that they do. So passion, consistent, hard work and humility. I tell my son, because he's the older one, but before every single game, every practice, we look at each other and we say 3 H's. And I'll ask them to repeat those back. And it's be humble, hard work, and have fun.
Love it.
And anything he's doing. And I told him too, if you're ever the cocky guy on the field or on the court or anything, I will pull you out before your coach does, I promise you.
Oh yeah. Love that.
So
hungry, humble, hard work, you said?
Yep.
Have you read The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni?
Patrick Lencioni? Yeah, he's one of my favorite authors, mainly because he just writes in such an easy way that I could interpret it. But yeah, that's a great, he does Humble, Hungry, Smart.
Yep. Ideal
Yep.
Team Player. I just finished
Yep.
it.
It's a good one.
I've read a lot of his stuff too. I mean, just 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And then one of my favorite ones is Getting Naked.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I first read that, shout out to a guy named Mike Van Sant, if you're listening. Mike Van Sant worked he was my first wealth manager. Actually, second wealth management company that my buddy Greer introduced me to. And he's like, Jacox, you got to read this book, dude. It's all about this. Like, it's like you've been talking to me about this humility and vulnerability, and this book's like about you. I swear to God. I was like, what? It seems kind of, and so I literally read it, and it was almost like, it was reading. I almost felt like I was a character in the book, because he writes with, as you know, the people that don't, he writes like in business fables, but it was so, and he's very conversationalist, and he does a good job of just creating that art. You can almost see it when he writes. So shout out to Patrick Lencioni. If you're listening, man, you need to come be a guest on the Quarterback Dadcast if you're listening.
Yeah. I'll definitely listen to that one. He's great. I can see almost all his books on my shelf now. He's one of my favorite authors. There's another one that's 3 Big Questions to Ask a Frantic Family. So it's applying a lot of things that we do in business in your family. It's another really good one.
He wrote that.
So, yep.
What's it called?
Maybe 3 Big Questions to Ask a Frantic Family, I think is what it's called. I'll give you the exact one, but it's another, I think that's what it's called. But
okay, I'm gonna look that up.
It's another good one.
Nice. Well, I love how you've talked about 3, those: consistency, be passionate. Obviously, that goes back to when people can't see, but there's a sign above my head in my office that says word believe. And I always tell my clients I work with, you got to believe what you do matters. I always talked about my kids. Humility it's always about team first. It's always about team first. I think I was lucky enough to play quarterback. Shout out Uncle Rico moment right there, where it's not about you. Quarterback never throws the ball to himself, can't block for himself. So it's always, humility just was pounded into me at an early age. But as I think about what you've talked about relating to fathers, and if you're listening at home, dads, I hope you're taking notes like I am, but being consistent is such a powerful word. And it's like sometimes just showing up to the practice to pick them up, showing up to a game, prioritizing things and don't miss. I talked to another dad this week. He's a part of the Elite 11, like Trent Dilfer Quarterback Academy. He's a coach for them. He's flying. He has a golf tournament he's going to, but he's leaving like Friday night late, so he's back home on Saturday for his daughter's dance competition.
That's awesome.
It's like, these are choices, and sometimes you miss things from time to time, which you never wanted, but make sure you get ahead of it. I always say with, expectation management with your kids, let them know. But when they know how much you care about their activities, what's important to them. Like we got 8, my wife always says we have 18 seasons before we release them to the pros.
Yeah.
And like that's a good metaphor way of looking about it. So I love the ones you're saying there.
Yeah, and it's again, and they watch and they pick up and they see those things. And someone said to me years and years ago, it's like you lead by example regardless, right? So that's good or bad. Mm-hmm. You're still leading by example, right? And it's like if I'm telling them, no phones at the dinner table, but I've got my phone right there. They're gonna, Dad, you've got your phone, so it's a check all the time that you have to live the same principles.
So true.
Yeah.
What as you think about you said mentors as well. What maybe an example of a mentor that you that really impacted you that you also now apply to life as a dad? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, so there's I have a lot of people that are inspirational to me and that are mentors, and I've learned over the years in my career to be super intentional and ask for mentorship. That's something that I talk, and I mentor a significant amount of folks that they don't know how to ask for a mentor. They don't know how to ask, or the difference between a mentor and an advocate, and the importance of having both. And that was never the goal. But as I've gotten older, how important those mentors have played such a huge role in my life. And one thing, I'm a ferocious, learner. I can learn from anyone. So I'm just love to hear people's stories and just understand what makes them who they are and how they got to where they are. But there's a few key ones that I think started back in my staffing days that they're the kind of the same first folks that just took this natural desire in my success, and they equated my success to their success. And to me, it was weird. I was like, why do they care so much if I'm successful? Like, how does this impact them? And it was really about creating that legacy. And it's where when I started my staffing career in 2008, there was one person, one of my Steve Belcher was one of my mentors. Whoever you guys are speaking, he's been someone that's been he's someone I still to this day. He lives in Dallas now, but we don't work together. We haven't worked together in years, but I still call him and text him for advice all the time. And even if we talk for 30 seconds, he gives me quick advice, and and I just did it the other day with some big stuff that I needed help with. And he's someone that models the behavior that you aspire to be, both in business, as a husband, and also as a father. And it's just through watching these folks. Again, it's not so much what someone can sit down in a 1 hour session and what they say to you, but how they actually live those things and come to life. That to me is really, really important. So he's one. There's another mentor. He passed a while ago. His name was Bert Baptiste. And he had this unorthodox way of getting to you. He would challenge you. I remember, I'll never forget this. He pulled me in his office one day and he goes, "Hey man, you think you can outwork me?" And I'm like, I mean, it's something like a track. He was like 3 levels above me, senior. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I think I'll try. He was like, come on, man. He used to work at a gym. How many people would come into the gym and say, I'm going to try to lose weight, that actually lost weight? And I'd be like, none. And he goes, okay, let me ask you again. Can you outwork me? And I'm thinking like, dude, he's firing me up to say yes. And I was like, yeah, I can outwork you. He goes, I doubt it. And walks out. And I was like, what just happened? But he had this weird way of just wanting you to just dig in and push. And he had this uncanny way to see things in people way before they got to see it. So those are the folks that, and that for me, that's just what this is all about, man. That's why I love staffing in general, because of the impact that you can make on people, both in the business and out of the business, is tremendous, right? And you don't have to be the smartest person. You just got to care about the legacy that you leave. And you just got to outwork your folks, outwork the people around you, and you're going to naturally elevate people.
I love that, man. So as you think about what you said is so important for dads to think about, like we as dads want to leave a legacy.
That's right.
But it has to be our kids' idea or your employees' idea. You can't want things for them. They have to want them for themselves. So learning what you learned from your parents, your mentors, what you just talked about, maybe talk about how you're applying those things to make it your kids' idea for what they want to do.
Yeah. I go through this a lot with, again, I reference my son a lot, only because he's at an age where he's making a lot of these decisions about where he wants to do and where he wants to spend his time and things that he's passionate about. And what I love about my time with him is that he wants to try a lot of different things, right? He wanted to try hockey, he wants to try football. He's running this like running club after school. He's doing all these things. And he's asking me, for advice. He's like, what should I do? What should I do? And one of the things that I want him to understand is that the results of what happens at the games is not just because you want to practice that one day a week. It's the work that they're doing outside of that that's really important. And that's the advice I was given, was like, what are you willing to put work on when no one's watching you that's going to help you make those impact? And if you feel that passion towards that, then let's go. Let's do it. Double down. And I don't care if that's playing video games. By the way, the other way I saw on TV that they've given out college scholarships for collegiate video game sports, which is crazy to me. So maybe he'll get one of those. I don't know. But rather that, I don't care if that's video games. I don't care if that's any sport. If you feel the desire and hunger and passion to put in the work when no one's watching, or where you're not, have to do it at the end, then I'm going to support you 110%. But the minute I'm dragging your hand through the mud to go do something, I don't want to do it. You got to want it for yourself, and I'll be there every single step of the way.
Love that, man. You made me think of something I tell my kids a lot too. Is like I always say, Uncle Rico moment coming in. It's like, kids, dad already played quarterback in college. I'm done playing. But you told me that these things are important to you. Has something changed?
Yeah.
And oh no, okay, then what I know I'd be doing if that was my goal. But again, this is your life, your journey. You got to, and so sometimes we have those tough love conversations. But in the end, if I always remind them, like, what's the end goal? What you want to do? And it's so easy to get wrapped up as parents on like the sports they play, the grade they get. But in the end, man, we want good people.
That's right.
You want
That's
a good person that's going to do what your son did. He's going to hold the elevator. Right. And
yes,
I might not remember when the War of 1812 was, but if I'm a nice person and treat people the way I want to be treated and I'm curious and it's more about them, like in the end, to me, that's like the ultimate goal of parenthood.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it goes back to the consistency, right? Because no matter what you do, if you continue to do it and be consistent about it, you're just naturally going to be good at those things, right? You got to put work into the craft that you want to do. And the craft can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell him about his younger sister, or, in gymnastics, it's again, she doesn't stop doing gymnastics. She does when she gets home. She loves to do it. She's doing cartwheels all day long. So when she shows up to practice, she's doing really, really well because she wants to do it. She's super passionate about it. I don't care what it is. You're just going to want to do it.
Totally. My daughter used to do gymnastics, but it was always scary watching them.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't do like these crazy flips. Like, I don't want to watch.
I know.
Okay. So I like asking dads this next question, which is, we're talking about what's going well, but we as dads, we all have gaps, right? So as you think about an area of your dad game that might relate to other dads at home listening, that maybe is a struggle for you at times where Rodrigo's not his best version of himself. Maybe talk about how do you use self-awareness to get you back on track? And maybe what's an area of your dad game that you're working on becoming better as a leader of your home?
Yeah. So many areas, but what I'll say is, one is, and this is probably a common thing I have to imagine, but just in today's world, but being present. And to me, that's not a on and off switch in terms of, okay, I worked 8 to 5 today, shut it off. Now I'm dad at home, start that clock, right? Go. It's the integration of those two things. And it's little things like if my son or my daughter interrupts me as I'm looking at my phone for whatever reason, it's having the fortitude to just put your phone down for a second, just listen to them. It's that little 30 seconds that to me, that's where the value of intentionality is going to come in versus, hey, let's schedule an hour together a week from today for us to spend alone time. Like, it doesn't take long just to put your phone down for 1 second, finish that email 30 seconds later because your daughter knows that you're looking right at her when she's speaking to you. Right. So I'm really working on that. That's been tough for me just with, I've recently made a pivot into a whole new career into the tech space and just trying to take it all in and learn as much as I possibly can that I have a hard time shutting it off. So that's been one piece. And then the other one's patience. I think you referenced this at the Beeline conference, and that's one. And gosh, watching my kids play sports, that's where I get tested the most, I think, because my competitiveness comes out, but patience is the other one. Just at home in general is to continue to practice that. So
those are great ones, man. My gap's patience too. My dad's, he was super impatient and he could drop the most amazing GD bomb and we would laugh as kids. And because it was kind of scary because he was getting mad at us, but like just, God, shout out to you, Big Mike. But God damn it, Casey. It would make us laugh. I'll make sure this has a little E next to the episode when it comes out. I've done a lot of episodes and talked to a lot of dads about being present. And I'm so glad you said what you said because I think I joked with you guys at Beeline. I've talked to a lot of my other clients about this, that we all think we're so important. We're a top person in a company. We're growing as a leader. We're doing this, we're doing that. Yet my phone number is still not 3 digits. It's not 911. I think I'm that important, yet I'm not. And we're all replaceable. Yeah. I like to use me as an example. When I worked at K4 for 20 years, the number one guy at the company, blah, 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 blah. Their stocks crushed it ever since I've left. They're doing great. They're still in business. maybe I was the problem. Hey, get rid of Casey, the stock goes up. Yeah, I'm just jokingly, but like we're all replaceable.
Yep.
And that gift that you're given your son or daughter when you listen, not hear, but listen and put your phone down, and they remember that. And it
That's right.
is such a gift, man. And when people don't listen to you, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. The head nod as they're looking back down at their phone. I mean, it's a terrible feeling, and you know exactly. And guess what? You can absolutely see it on a Zoom call, also or a
100%.
Teams call. You can tell immediately. And to me, that's where they said you cast your votes by your time. That's an easy way to do it.
Sometimes it's nice when you say, "Hey, should we meet at a different time?" What?
That's
You
right.
look like you're doing something else. It looks like you're busy. Oh no, we're good. I'm good.
Oh gosh, yeah, that passive aggressive works for me often, and sometimes it gets me in trouble, but I love it. I love it.
Oh boy. Okay. So if you were to summarize what we've talked about, in the stories we've shared, the examples you've listed, the areas of your dad game you're working hard, that other dads at home can learn from our conversation today, that they can take as advice from this episode, tell me what comes to mind.
Yeah, I say this with an asterisk that I think none of us are perfect, and it's just being recognize that all of it takes work and effort, constantly, right? So all these things continue to take a lot of work and practice on, but again, being present in those small little moments, and connecting in those small brief moments I think are incredibly important. So it's okay, put your phone down for a second, and then being consistent. I think being consistent in the things that you say, the things that you do, how you show up for the people that you care about the most. That's probably the most important thing, in my opinion.
Love it.
Yeah.
Taking notes here, man. All right. Lastly, before we go into the fun lightning round, if someone says, "What the heck is joined up and what the heck is Beeline?" Like, how would you articulately, if I could speak English, like what the heck? What the heck do they do for people at home?
Yeah, great question. So, Beeline is a part of the contingent workspace, right? They help manage the extended workforce. And Joined Up is a organization that Beeline just acquired back in April. That is an operating end-to-end operating software that helps support the high volume or shift-based labor category. So if you think of staffing organizations that support that the dynamics and elastic of high volume shift based, Joined Up helps create efficiency and transparency in that specific labor category. So, yeah.
There we go. And you and you're in the leadership role.
Yeah, so Joined Up has been operational for about 5 years in the UK, and I've joined Up and Beeline back in end of August of last year. I'm head of sales and operations for North America, so my job is to had been to bring Joined Up to North America and create go-to-market strategy and start deploying out here in the market and extend the success they've had in the UK.
Very cool.
Yeah,
sounds
fun
exciting.
stuff.
All right, man. Lightning round. My job is to ask you as many questions as I can quickly before I shut her down. I know we're on a time crunch here. My job also is to try to get a giggle out of you. Your job is to answer as quickly as you can.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm nervous, but let's go.
Okay. Who would win in a wrestling match? Doug Leby or Craig Coe?
Doug Leby.
Wow.
So I think
even with Craig's guns, I mean,
Craig's got some guns, but I feel like Doug would just be like small and scrappy and just fast.
All right.
That'd be tough.
All right. There's a challenge for the next Beeline performance trip.
Plus, he's the CEO, so I kind of had to say that.
Okay. What would be your a song that would, if a song was written about you in your life, what would be the title?
Accidentally Purposeful.
Who would sing it?
Oh my gosh. Enrique Iglesias.
God, I love that. I was going to think you were going to say maybe Shakira. The hips don't lie.
No.
If I was to come to your house for dinner tonight, what are we having?
What's today? Oh gosh, I was going to say if it's Tuesday, we're going to have tacos, but I'm probably taking you out because
Okay.
I'm not a good cook, and yeah, so I'll probably take you out somewhere.
Okay. What is the last book you read?
I just finished Together We Rise, and
Leslie
which is
Vickery.
Leslie and Lauren Jones and those folks, and a
Anna
lot of
Frazzetto.
Joyce Russell, a few other folks as well. It was awesome book. And then the other one I just finished not too long ago was Think Again by Adam Grant.
Okay. Love Adam Grant. Smart dude. What is the one song in your phone that you would be embarrassed that your team would find out you listen to?
Gosh. My playlist right now is really made up by Encanto and Frozen soundtrack, but I think that if someone really dug in there, I might be embarrassed to say that there may be some NSYNC or Backstreet Boys in there somewhere.
Love it, dude. Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah. It's okay. I own it. It's fine.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's a smart play. If there was going to be a book now written about your life, would we go the same title as the song or something different?
Make It Count.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah.
Now we're going to make that a movie.
There you go.
Who's starring you?
Probably Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite.
So good. I like it. Last question. Tell me 2 words to describe your wife.
Resilient and mentally tough.
Hyphenated word. We'll call it hyphenated.
Yeah, we'll call it hyphenated. Yeah.
Awesome. You've made it through it. I got a giggle out of you. We learned a lot about Rodrigo, everybody. I want to say shout out to our sponsors for staying with us. Acme Homes and Catch Sitka Seafoods. Rodrigo, if people want to learn more about you, they want to learn more about Beeline or Joined Up, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Probably the easiest way is LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So at Rodrigo_Alcaine, probably the 2 best ways.
I will make sure these are linked in the show notes. Everybody, thank you for your support. Such simple advice, such simple reminders that we all as dads need. We didn't talk about rocket science today. We didn't talk about things that cost. We talked about things that just take a little time, intentionality, that will drive immense value inside your home and help you become that ultimate quarterback of your household. So, Rodrigo, I appreciate you spending time with me. I can't wait for people to listen to this. And thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you, Casey. Always a pleasure. Talk soon.
Well, thank you again, Rodrigo, for joining me today. Man, that was a fun episode. Really enjoyed getting to know you. I'm so thankful again for my friends at Beeline for inviting me out to speak back in February. And since then, I've met some great friends, Doug and Craig. And just the visual of you guys wrestling really brought a giggle to my face, and hope you guys enjoyed that too. But make sure you guys reach out to Rodrigo. Smart guy, super talented individual, and a dad who is doing everything he can to be that ultimate quarterback of his household. So make sure you support our sponsors, Acme Homes and Catch Sitka Seafoods. But other than that, we will see you next week on another episode of Quarterback Dadcast.